And welcome back to Primility Primer, our morning reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility as we go about our daily lives. This is episode number 67. I am your host, Jared Morris. And today is Wednesday, which means it's time for another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. And something that I am quickly learning is that a lot of times the best wisdom comes from you, the people who actually watch and listen to the show and read the emails. And I always greatly appreciate it. And so today's episode of Wisdom Wednesday is dedicated to a listener just like yourself. And that person is Will DeWitt. Now, Will is a guy that I've had the good fortune of working with through my project, The Assembly Call. We have an internship program with Indiana University. And Will was one of our interns last year, has stayed on in kind of a full-time, long-term role, and just a great, earnest, hardworking guy. And through that experience with the Assembly Call, he became aware of Primility and has become a listener of this show, which I really appreciate. And so last week, actually, he sent me an email. I was out for a walk and I got this email, and he was explaining to me how he was sitting in class and something that one of his professors said to him just kind of triggered this Primility moment in his head. And so he wrote about it and he sent it over to me. And I immediately knew that this was going to be a guest post on Primility, and it's going up at some point today. But I also wanted to bring it here to this episode of Wisdom Wednesday because as I wrote my Monday newsletter, and for those of you who are on the email list and who got the Monday newsletter, you may notice that there are some similarities between what I said and what's in Will's post. And it didn't really hit me until later that I certainly wasn't trying to model my email off of Will's post, but I think there was definitely a subconscious effect there. And so what I want to do for this episode of Wisdom Wednesday is read you Will's post. It's not a long post. And then I'm going to read you the email too, and you can tell me how close you think it is, because I think I owe Will a big hat tip for the email that I sent you by being inspired by his post. So this is what Will sent me. It's titled, Attempting to be Independent in a Dependent World. While sitting in class today, my professor said something that I can't stop thinking about. Even though to some degree I already knew this, it has my mind going in every possible direction. What did my professor say, you ask? Everything is dependent on something else. This is a simple statement, but with a profound concept. For example, think about your favorite book, not the story, but the physical book. What do you see? Do you see hundreds of pages bound together in a particular order with a cover? What people often forget to see are the conditions necessary to make that book possible. The pages were made out of trees, and the trees needed air, water, soil, and sunlight in order to grow. These trees needed to undergo a certain process in order to become paper, and thus you have a book. But all these blank pages aren't helping anyone. You still need an author to come up with a story, that story that is dependent on some sort of inspiration, and I think you get the picture. So how does this notion on dependency relate to primility? If everything is dependent on something or a multitude of things, why is it that we attempt to live our lives as independents? This question is what fascinates me, as striving to be independent is going against the very laws of nature that have brought us not only into existence, but also to this moment. Perhaps it is our pride that makes us yearn to be self-sufficient. Why is that the case? As people, we are dependent on a variety of different elements in order to survive. There are the obvious necessities like air, water, and food, but we are also reliant on shelter, clothes, and all modes of transportation, and much more. Throughout our lives, with almost everything that we do, we are dependent on something or another. Yet, why is it that people are reluctant to ask for help when they need it? Why is it, as we grow older, we become less dependent on our parents? Why are people embarrassed of being dependent on others if we live in a world where everything depends on multitudes of things? Again, in a word, it's our pride. We should live our lives embracing the fact that we can't function on our own and welcome help throughout our lifetime. The answer, humility. If we can understand the fact that it's nature's design for everything on earth to be dependent, we can live with more humility when it comes to not only receiving help to others, going about our daily lives, understanding that it's okay to receive help and not allowing our pride to try to make us independent in a dependent world is another way we should attempt to find a balance between our pride and our humility. Very well said, Will. Very, very well said. Um, I love this post. It floored me when Will sent this to me. Anytime I get a post like this where something that we've done here on the show has inspired someone else to take it in a new direction is always so wonderful. That's the goal of what we're doing here at Primility. And I love this concept that Will's talking about. And here, I said I would read you this email. Now, you tell me if you think that I was inspired by Will's post. Okay, this is the email that I sent Monday. If you're not on the email list, go to primility.com/join. You'll get our Monday email. You'll get our Friday email. Okay, here's the email that I sent. You are special, really special. You have accumulated a combination of experiences, ideas, and tastes that no other person in the history of the world has ever accumulated. There is no one like you anywhere, past or present, which is why you will leave a unique and important mark on this world, and you get to choose what that mark is. Choose wisely. Make it count. But here's the thing. You're actually not that special at all, really, because all you are is one of 7.125 billion people on this earth. This means that 7,124,999,999 other people have accumulated their own unique combination of experiences, ideas, and tastes. And guess what? A lot of those experiences, ideas, and tastes overlap with yours, which means that you are no better or worse than any of those other 7,124,999,999 people out there who are not you. You're just one of many, 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 many who are simply trying to get the most out of the days you've been given on this earth. You're special. You bring something to the world that only you can bring. You're not special. Everyone else is bringing something unique that only they bring too. What it all means is that sometimes you're in the position to lend a helping hand, and sometimes you're in the position to need a helping hand. It's the essence of Primility. If you only do two things this week, do these. Lend a hand, take a hand. Remember, we're all in this together. Have a great week. And that idea, lend a hand, take a hand, really goes in with what Will is saying, because he's talking about why do we need to be independent in a dependent world? And there are reasons why we want to be independent and why we want to be self-sufficient, to not be a burden on other people. But it does seem like sometimes we take it way too far in the other direction. And in our yearning to be self-sufficient and not be dependent on other people and to feed our pride, which wants us to be able to stand on our own 2 feet and only our own 2 feet, we forget that sometimes that can actually prevent us from seeing where we can lend hands elsewhere, and perhaps where it would really help other people to lend us a hand. So something to think about on this Wednesday. Will, I really appreciate you sending that in. And I encourage any of you, any time that you are struck by moments of inspiration, definitely don't feel like I will look at your email and not be excited to read it, because I will. I love getting those emails, just like I love getting this one. And who knows, it may be featured on an episode of Wisdom Wednesday, because the wisdom that I get from you all and the way that you interact with these episodes and these concepts, that's what is taking this to the next level and really making this such a worthwhile, valuable experience for everyone who's involved with Primility. So with that said, have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow with another brand new episode of Primility. And here's the call to action today. Instead of going anywhere and subscribing to anything, if you've been enjoying these episodes, if you're getting something out of this, if the emails or the episodes, if they're helping to start your day in a positive way, or whatever positive benefit they're giving to you, share it with somebody. Just one person. Share it with them, and maybe pick out a specific episode that you really liked that you think would be applicable to them, and just share it with them. And let's try and spread the idea to people who we think that it can help, to people who we think that it would be receptive with, and grow the audience, because the more that we grow the audience, the more feedback we get, the better the content gets, the more well-informed, the more well-rounded all of the ideas get, and that will help everybody who's creating content and everybody who's consuming the content. All right, everybody, have a great day. I will talk to you tomorrow on another brand new episode of Primility Primer. In the meantime, stay cognizant of your pride and your humility. Wrist bump.